Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Michelle from Creative Operation, and I'm here today to do our design team project for Country Craft Creations. I'm using Authentique's Masquerade paper collection, and we're going to do an amazing album today. This is the biggest project that I've done out of the three. You can see my other two projects on my channel if you look at the videos. We did a countdown calendar, and then we did a oh shoot, I lost it. A candy box for Halloween, and now we're going to do our mini album. So this is going to be a good size mini album. The size of it, I made my prototype, and the size of it is pretty big. So the actual chipboard album itself is going to be 8.5 tall, 7 wide, and then it's going to have a spine that's 2.5 inches. It has 4 pages, but they're very interactive. There's lots of tags and flips and folds, and I come up with a couple ideas that I think are new to me, but you know, if someone else out there has done it before, you know, I apologize, but I think I come up with a couple really kind of cute ideas. And then also we're gonna revisit my double waterfall that I did in a couple albums ago. So let's get started with the tutorial, and let's see if we can get this done. It is kind of a big album, and part of the thing with this album is that you're going to have to put some pattern papers on as you build the pages. So we will go through all of the measurements. Keep your notebooks handy, and I'll give you everything. I also have a cutting guide that there will be a link down below to my blog, and I'll have pictures of that. So you know how to cut your cardstock. Now I'm going to use Black and Brown Artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations. And obviously the paper line is from Country Craft Creations. And then the chipboard also. We're going to need art glitter glue, some score tape, you know, the usual kinds of things. So I'll go through all of that as we go. So let's go ahead and get started, because this might take a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be 2 videos or 1, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is some chipboard to make our album cover. You're going to need 2 pieces that are 8.5 by 7, and then you're going to need 1 piece that's 8.5 by 2.5, and that's going to be for the spine. And then the cardstock to cover everything, we're going to use the lay flat binding method. And you're going to need 2 pieces that are 10.5 by 9. You're going to need a piece that's 10.5 by 5.5, so that'll be the outside cover. And then the inside spine cover, you will need a piece that's 5.5 by 8 3/8. I have already prepared my chipboard with the score tape sheets that I got from Country Craft Creations, so we can stick those down pretty quickly. And then the next thing you're going to need, and this stuff here, I have some what I'm going to do my cover decoration with, so I'm going to put that off to the side for a second. And then we're going to need some pattern papers. So for the, put those things out of the way. So for the outside covers, you will need 2 pieces that are 8 3/8 by 6. And then you're going to need 2 pieces that are 8 3/8 by 1.5. So 2 pieces that are like that. And then you will need 1 piece for the spine that's 8 3/8 by 2 3/8. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. I'm going to leave those there. I don't know if that's going to be in camera shot or not. Kind of. Anyway, this will be written down for you down below, so you can go ahead and print that out. So let's put this off to the side, and let's grab our chipboard. Now we're going to just wrap this like we always do our chipboard. So I'm going to grab my scoreboard, and I'm going to grab my spacers. Now I am going to be getting some of the spacers from Country Craft Creations that are actually made out of plexiglass, and they're going to be a lot more sturdy, but for right now I'm using my chipboard spacers. They're 1 inch wide, so if you have those, that's great to use. So when you grab your, for the back cover and the front cover, they're both going to be the same. I've already went ahead and put the score tape on, like I said. And then I'm going to peel, if I can get it to work, which I can't, so let me see if this will help. There we go. And then I'm going to use my spacers. They're going to have an inch on each side, so we'll do that. And this way, it will help center your papers really, really, really nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and lay those down, and then I will just stick my chipboard down like so. Okay, and that's all we need to do for that. Just going to make sure that it sticks. Okay, set that aside. We'll repeat for the other piece. And again, use our little spacers here to make sure that it's right in the middle. Grab our chipboard. See if we can do that. So for those of you who are on Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations Facebook page, you guys all know that I am in Oregon, and Oregon has had quite a tough time lately with a number of things. The most recent and you know, most disastrous is the fire that's been going on. It's been really, really, really horrible. So, but things are slowly improving. They have backed off on some of the levels of evacuation, so that's been good. So my family's doing okay. I'm doing okay. There have been some serious loss of life and property and everything. So please continue praying and sending good wishes and thoughts and whatever you know you do, so that you know, this can be over soon, because it's been really, really bad. So going back to the project, you've noticed that I used a different spacer. I used a 1.5 inch spacer. This is the spine piece that we're putting on, and you're actually going to have 1.5 inches on each side for that. So I'm going to use the inch at the top and the 1.5 inches on the bottom. So we'll need those. And this size will also come in the spacer kit from Country Craft Creations. So anyways, we're done with those. Let's go ahead and put this out of the way for a second, and we're gonna grab this, we're gonna grab this. I am making a mess. Sorry, guys. Brains has been a little preoccupied lately with stuff. So, okay, so I'm gonna turn this around, and we're gonna do this like we always do for our covers. And if you haven't seen this before, what I'm doing is I'm running my bone folder down. I'm feeling the edge of the chipboard underneath the cardstock, and I'm just running my bone folder down that edge to kind of help train the paper for the direction that it's going to need to be going. Okay, we're going to do that all the way around, and let's go ahead and just do it for all of the pieces here. Okay. So when you are scoring your paper, you're training it and breaking the fibers, you know, to make it go the way you want it without splitting. So this is kind of an important step. Although, you know, this is artisan cardstock, and I have yet to have it rip on me, pretty much no matter what I've done to it. So it's amazing. Again, that's from Country Craft Creations, and it's amazing cardstock. It's like 87 pound, and it's like unbelievable stuff. So you will love it. If you haven't tried it yet, you should go to countrycraftcreations.com and get some, because you will never want to go back to anything else after that. So there you go. So all 3 of my pieces for my book cover, I've done that with. And then what I like to do is just kind of fold it over a little bit till I'm ready to really start doing my thing. So that's kind of my habit here. Okay. So just kind of continue folding it over like so. Then we're going to turn it over. We're going to grab our score tape and we're going to wrap. Now we're going to wrap the covers, the front and the back, and the spine we're going to do a little bit different, so don't jump ahead and do that spine if you haven't seen this method before. This method is not anything I came up with. This method is from Tamara, who is our fearless leader at Country Craft Creations, and this is a really awesome way to get a really nice flat binding, so when you open your book, it just lays nice and flat. Also, when you close your book, unless you stuff it like completely to the brim with stuff, it will actually stay closed. So closures kind of become more of, at least for me, a decorative kind of thing rather than a necessity to keep them closed. So then once I get the score tape on, now I'm going to miter my corners. Now, this doesn't have to be a complete 45-degree miter, but you do have to make sure that you have at least 1/8 of an inch between the end of your chipboard and your cardstock. So don't cut it completely flush with your chipboard, okay? Because we're going to use that to cover. I'm going to just take my score tape off, like so. And then what I like to do is when I fold my chipboard around my cardstock, I like to go top, bottom, side to side. So however your album orients, I do the top, bottom, side to side. That's just how I've been doing it. So this doesn't really matter which is top or bottom because it's the same. So we're going to do that. And then once I do that, kind of put that down here. Then I'm going to take just my fingernail and I'm going to just gently nudge the corner of that paper around the edge of that chipboard, and what that will do is cover that chipboard really nicely. So then when you fold it, that edge is completely covered, okay? Just nice and wrapped around it. So that's how I do mine. Now sometimes, especially if you're not using the Artisan cardstock, you can run a bead of glue right here at that junction, and sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't, it just depends. But especially if you're not using Artisan cardstock, I would highly recommend you do that. And then if you do put the glue, even if you don't, I like to, I've been rubbing my bone folder on the edges just to kind of square the cardstock to the chipboard, because the chipboard is going to have a you know, an edge, a flat edge. So there's the first one done. So we're going to go ahead and do the second one, and I'm going to just speed through that. So since you already saw the first one, so now we're going to work on the spine piece, and this one is going to be done a little bit differently, and this is how I have started doing it, and it seems to work really well for me. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you. So we've already trained the outside like we wanted to, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over and I'm going to give it a little bit of a crease, and then I'm going to turn it over, and then what I'm going to do is run my bone folder down this side here, and you're going to notice it kind of flips this up a little bit. Then I'm going to use my finger and I'm going to try and keep that fold where it is and push it down. Okay, so again, I'm going to run my bone folder down the side, okay, and then I'm going to try and use my fingernail to keep that up. And what it does is I don't know if it's hard to see, but it does give a slight angle here. I mean, like a very slight, because you're basically pushing the paper over the edge of the chipboard. Okay, so again, just trying to keep that angle. Okay, then I'm going to grab my art glitter glue. I'm going to open it up, and then this is where it's a little bit different than what Tamara does. She actually cuts a corner off of here. I leave it here, and I'm gonna just put some glue on here. And I haven't used score tape on this part. I think that because of what we're going to do with it, I think that we need to have like all glue and make sure that it gets stuck really good, because we are going to end up mitering the corners a little bit, and I'll show you that. So we'll stick that down, and all right, so we have that just glued down, and we have a nice edge pushed against that chipboard right there, okay? So then we're gonna just repeat on the other side. So I'm gonna just fold this over, and then I'm gonna just push my bone folder in that crease and kind of really burnish that into the chipboard, and then just fold it over. And it will have an ever so slight angle when you do that, and that's totally fine, because we're going to trim that just a little bit more, okay? So then once I do that, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to add my glue. You can put a little bit there too if you want. And then we're going to fold that over and use our bone folder to kind of make sure that everything goes where we want it to go. We want this kind of basically wrapping the inside of the chipboard. All right, and then of course get that excess glue out of there. Okay, sorry for that. I had a phone call that I needed to take. So we have both of the ends of our spine wrapped. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go back down. I'm going to make sure that this is burnished nice and well, so that it fits on the spine really nicely. Okay, so we've got that part, and this is dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my scissors, and I'm going to just barely take off a little teeny tiny sliver of the corner. I'm just going to miter it just ever so slightly, and I'm not going to go all the way to the chipboard because I don't want the chipboard exposed. And you'll notice that the reason I glued is because I want to make sure this stays nice and closed, okay? I just don't want to take any chances. So we're going to miter all four corners just a little bit. All right, so now we have even more of a little miter there, but we don't need to take too much off, okay? So then the next thing we're gonna do is actually, I'm gonna do this too. I'm gonna wrap this, and I'm gonna just run my bone folder around the edge. Okay, so then grab your scoreboard, because this will help you square everything up, because you can use the edge of it to put everything down. So we're going to lay this now. The first couple ones I did of these, I totally did them backwards. So please just make sure that you have all of your outside pieces facing the correct direction. You don't want to glue it like this, because if you do, it's going to be backwards. So if you just line this up to the bottom, and then what we're going to do is we're going to adhere it to the edge of that right there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of score tape, and we're going to use a little bit of glue on this. And I'm going to put the score tape on here, but I'm not going to put it all the way to the edge, because there's two different reasons why you do this. So first of all, don't use glue right up to the edge, because then what it'll do is it'll stick where you don't want it to stick, and then when you open and close it, if it's glued, it will rip the paper. And then the score tape, you don't want to put it all the way to the edge, because then you'll see it at the edge. So you only need to put it, you know, just a little bit away from the score of the paper. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, take the tape off. I should really use these. There we go. And then I'm going to take my glue, and I will just run a little bead of glue in between the score tape. Okay, I'm going to put it down here up against the bottom here so it's nice and square, and then I'm going to take my cover and I'm just going to put it right up to that chipboard, lining it up, and press it down, and then we can turn it over and then we can stick it down. All right, so now we've got one of our covers attached to our spine, and you can see that there's no glue oozing out and there's no score tape showing, but it is totally stuck and nice and straight and beautiful. So we're going to do the other side, so I'm just going to turn it over like this, and then we'll do the same thing. So a little bit of score tape down here. And then like that. And then take this off, and the reason why I'm doing that now before the glue is so that I don't run my fingers all over the glue and get that all messed up. So, you know, and don't ask me how I know to do it this way. Yeah. Okay. So, pushing it down so it's even with the edge. Then I'm going to grab my cover, pushing it down, getting it lined up really nice and straight. And then we can use our okay. And again, you can see no glue oozing out, no score tape showing, so it's really, really nice. So here's our cover for our book. And you can see that it lays flat when it's closed. I mean, it doesn't have that memory that keeps it open. Now, I do have to say, I like this method. I like the other, you know, I guess the older method or the original method of wrapping covers too. It's personal preference, but this is really a nice way of doing it. And then when you open up your book, it lays nice and flat too. So it's really, really nice. All right, so we have the inside here. We have our piece of cardstock that we're going to put over that. So, and I should have put my score tape on here, but let's do that super quick. Let's see what I've got here. I have some scraps that we can use. That's one of the nice things about the score tape sheets. If you don't use it all, you can always take the scraps, put it back on the adhesive sheet, and then, you know, you can use it again. And I keep all my scraps because there's sometimes where you need just a wee bit and you'll have it. So let's cut that. Now you could use glue for this if you wanted to. Totally okay, whatever your preference is. I'll put that on here. But I prefer the score tape on this because I think it works really well to make sure it gets the whole thing for this. So it's kind of, you know, it's just preference. Really, you could do it either way. All right, save my scraps of score tape. Get rid of that for a second. Put that over here. There's another little scrap of score tape. There we go. And I will save those for another time. Okay, so now that we have this, let's just make sure. All right, now we're going to cover our inside spine. And again, this piece here measured 5.5 by 8 3/8. And then I'm just gonna put her down here and about a 1/16 of an inch or so from top to bottom. Gonna lay that down, grab my tool, kind of burnish it down, make sure it sticks good. This is gonna get covered up, Then what we're going to do is just fold it up a little bit and find where those two pieces of the spine and the chipboard or the, you know, cover of the album meet, and then just kind of help kind of score that line. Okay. Make sure it gets stuck down really good. There we go. And then you can fold it over even. Love this. Love it. Okay, that part's done. So now let's work on our outside. We're going to use our pattern paper here. And again, this is going to be 6 by 8 3/8. So 2 of those. And then we're going to need 2 that are 1.5 by 8 3/8. Okay. And then we're going to need our spine piece that's 8 3/8 by 2 3/8. Okay. So that's how our spine is going to look. And the reason why I did it this way is because when you're trying to kind of conserve paper and you only have like one left of a piece of paper, if you cut it at 6, then you can just add a pretty little strip, and it doesn't even have to match the spine if you don't want to, but if you want to kind of keep that look, you can use the same paper for the spine. Okay, and it turns out really, really pretty. So before we do that, I went in my stash. I don't even know how many bazillions of years I've had this, but I had this really pretty orange ruler seam binding, and I don't even remember what company it was from. But I had it in my stash, so I thought this would be perfect for a tie closure. It would be really, really pretty. And so I cut it at 13 instead of my usual 12. Pretty clever, huh? I'm being a little silly. Okay, so grab my centering ruler, and we're going to just attach that before we put on our pattern paper. So I'm just going to center that, and I'm going to add a little bit of score tape to help hold the ribbon in place, or the seam binding, I should say. This is a seam binding, and I wish I knew where I got it from because it's super cute. But I thought it matched the colors perfectly, so I went ahead and did that. So I'm just going to lay that down over the score tape like that, and we'll turn it over and do it again. So find the center, and this is just going to tack it down because the rest of it will get nice and tacked down with our pattern papers. So that one I cut to 13, so this one I cut at 13 as well. Make it match. You have to make it match, right? All right. So we'll go ahead and put that down right there in the middle. Okay. And whoops, I put it upside down. Pardon me. Don't want to do that. Make sure it matches. There we go. Okay, so make sure my numbers are in the right orientation. That's kind of important. Okay, so then I've already pre-inked my edges. I used a little bit of Tim Holtz Distress Oxide, and what was the Ground Espresso. So I've already inked all the edges because I'm using dark papers, and this has kind of a dark theme. I didn't want the white core to show. If it was lighter papers, then I totally would probably not ink the edges. But that, again, is personal preference. To ink or not to ink, I guess that's the scrapbooker's question, right? So sometimes me do, and sometimes me don't. Okay, so then let's go ahead and cover this side with our big piece of pattern paper. And then I'll lay this guy down right on top of that. All right. Burnish it down so it'll stick nice. And then of course, got some leaky glue here. We'll get that wiped off. Art glitter glue does dry clear, so you won't notice that when it's dry. But it also ensures that it gets to the corners and everything sticks down nicely like you want it to. So, all right, so let's get our strips. Now, because this is the same paper, I just want to make sure that my lines kind of match up properly, okay? Because I don't want them crooked, so they go this orientation. So then I'm just going to glue these down over top, and then we will be done with the basic papering of the outside of our book. I'm just going to line that up, lay it down. Okay. I love this paper, and I love Halloween. It is my favorite holiday ever. And this year I am pretty upset at the fact that this is going to be the perfect Halloween, and it'll never ever happen again. Yeah, this Halloween on a Saturday, and it's a full moon, and not only is it a full moon, but it is also a blue moon, and it's daylight savings, so the clocks go back, so you actually, you know, it's just going to be the perfect holiday, and COVID and everything else that is going on has messed it up. So yeah, not very happy about that, but hopefully the local kids will figure something out, and our grandkids will still come over. That'd be nice. Okay, so outside's done. Now we have the inside. Okay, so let's grab, I'm gonna go over to my file of stuff here. Let's put this aside for just a second. Actually, no, yeah, let's put it aside. Let's do that. Let's talk about our pages. We're going to talk about these briefly because we're going to do these kind of individually as we go. So for our pages, you're going to need 4 pieces that are 8 by 7, and then you're going to need 4 pieces that are 5 by 8. The 5 by 8 pieces, which is what I'm holding right here, are going to be pockets. The 8 by 7 are going to be the pages. So you're going to want to put them in your scoreboard, all of them, and then you're going to want to score them. Let me get my other one, because I like my other bone folder better for this one. So put your 8 by 7 pieces in here and score them at 1/2 inch, okay? So the 7 on the top and score it at 1/2 inch. And you're going to do that to all 4 pages, okay? And that's all you're going to have to do. Score them all. Do not miter these corners because they're going to lay down on our binding. Do that to all of them, and then all you're going to do is, just to prepare them, is fold and burnish, okay? Do that for all 4. So you're going to need 4 of these base pages, and you're going to need 4 of the pockets. And then we're going to just set these aside because we will pick them up as we need them to create our pages. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, so page 1, the top of page 1, going to have a couple things. So each of the front pages are going to have elements put on them. Of course, both sides are going to have elements put on them. But they also need to be papered on the front before we do anything. So let's grab our base page, and then you're going to need 2 pieces of pattern paper. All right. These all are going to be, so this is 2 by 7 1/8, or 7 and 7/8, excuse me, 2 by 7 and 7/8. That's going to go here. And then this piece here is going to be 4 and 7/8 by 7 and 7/8. And that will go on the outside of the pocket. So we will need to put this piece on before we put this piece on. And so it doesn't, this pattern paper doesn't go all the way down the page. It's just going to go just inside the pocket. And that way we're going to conserve a little bit more paper as we go. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do on the fronts of all your pages is do that. Because you can't really put the pocket on there until you do. These pockets are glued on. They do not have any kind of, they don't have any tabs or anything. We're not going to score the pockets at all. They're just going to get glued on 3 sides and then that's it, okay? So we'll do that. We're just going to put the glue on the 3 sides, and then I have created this so that they're side opening. So make sure that you don't go over the score mark, just go to the score mark and line that up and glue it down. All right, and then we'll get our pattern paper and we'll glue that guy on. Just like that. All right. All right, so you have your front of page 1. Okay, and we have our pocket here. Okay, so then the element for the front of page 1 is really simple. It's just a simple accordion pocket or a accordion fold. So you're going to need a piece that's 4 by 12, and what we're going to do with this is we're going to, let's see, I'm going to stick that guy right there. I'm going to put this, I'm trying to keep everything in order because there's lots of little parts and pieces, and other than the front parts of the pocket pages, everything is a little bit different. So I'm trying to make sure I get it right, so I don't want to mess y'all up. So put this in your scoreboard, your 4 by 12, 12 on the top. We're going to score it at 3, at 6, and at 9. And that's going to give us 3 by 4 spaces for pictures. So then let's just make it into an accordion. So we'll just fold that guy and burnish all those down really nice. And it's your choice how you want this to open. I had mine open this way in my prototype. You can do whatever you want. And then the other thing too is that with my prototype, I had a big kind of element on the paper here, so I adhered it here in my prototype. So you could do this any way you want. If you adhere it up here, then you have a nice pretty spot here to decorate, to put any ephemera there that you want, however you want to work that. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to do that because I'm going to do some decoration down here. So I found, I got this cut apart. This is part of the paper collection, and I cut it down so that it is, it should be 3 7/8 by 2 7/8. So I just cut like a 1/16 of an inch off each side. You could do 1/8 of an inch off 2 sides if you wanted to, depending on what the picture is like. But that's going to go on the front, and then we're going to have this nice little tie closure. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to have mine open like this, so it'll give you some nice spots. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to put some score tape right down the middle of it to hold my seam binding, because that's going to be the closure. That's the other thing about this album. I don't know why, but I decided that I didn't want to use any magnets. I just wanted to endeavor to see if I could use seam binding for the whole thing, and I did. So we're going to use lots of seam binding. But the other thing with seam binding is that it also creates, you know, beautiful bows, you know, so that you have even more element, that because you can consider that you know, totally, you know, a decoration. So that's what I decided to do. So then I'm just going to put my glue down here. I'm going to get it on the seam binding. And then I'm going to grab my page and I'm going to put this up more towards the top. And then I'm going to use the bottom part of this for some decorative elements, and then you could also do another picture there as well. So it works out really nice. Okay. Then we're going to grab our cut apart, and this is the only piece that I did put pattern paper on for a couple reasons. One was that I wanted to, you know, conserve paper because I needed to do 3 projects with this. And then I also, you know, thought you're going to put pictures down anyway, so I didn't want to waste paper underneath, you know, pictures. So then we can tie this in a pretty little bow. Maybe if I can get my fingers to work. There we go. And then you have this cute little bow here also. So there we go. Okay, so page 1, front of page 1 is done. And that's our accordion fold. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the back of page 1. Now, just for your notes, now I did use brown cardstock on the backs of the pages. Again, to help preserve pattern paper, but also because I liked the contrast. It worked really well with these papers, so I wanted to do that. So what we're going to make here is a fun little element. It is going to be a pocketed belly band is what I'm calling it. I've been playing with junk journals, and I kind of came up with this idea, and it's not really like, you know, you've seen double belly bands. This one is a pocketed belly band. So we're going to put that on here, and then we're going to cover everything with patterned paper. So let's show you how to make this. We're going to put this off to the side for a second, grab our scoreboard. This piece is 4 by 9. And what you're going to do is put it in your scoreboard, 4 by 9. And the 9-inch side, we're going to score at 1/2 and at 8.5. And then turn it, and you can score it at 1.5. Okay? And that's all you're going to do. So then what you're going to do with this is you're going to make some cuts. So what we're going to do is we're going to miter the corners. Oh, I was going to show you this too. I had an aha moment the other day, and I don't know if it makes anything easier for anybody, but if you're doing 1/2-inch tabs on anything, if you want to miter corners, mine, you have to practice, but my corner tag corner punch that I think is Fisker's is exactly 1/2 inch. So if you want to get really specific with your miters and make sure that they're exactly 45 degrees, you can totally use this. And I don't know if it makes it easier or not, but it was kind of fun. It was like this big aha moment that I had. And then you could also, if you wanted to, we'll fold this because we're going to have to miter the inside corners as well for these tabs. If it will take a double thickness of paper, then you can have perfect mitered corners. I mean, I don't know. I kind of had this aha moment yesterday, and I was like, this is pretty cool, especially when you have a whole ton of papers that you're trying to miter. When I was getting things ready, anyway, I don't know. If you try it and you like it, let me know. All right, so we have our pocketed belly band. So now we've got these tabs folded. All right, how we're going to do this is the belly band, it can fold either way, whatever you want. I folded it so that this small pocket here is towards the outside, and since this is going to be on the or the back of the page. I wanted it to be back that way. So this tab here, top and bottom on the big piece, is going to adhere to the page of the book. And then this here is going to adhere to the top of the belly band. And that's what's going to give you your pocket. All right. And in the cutting guide, I also have different tags to cut out to put behind here. So once you fold those things, so we're going to go ahead and grab our book. I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the tabs. And then the other thing I'm going to do really super quick, I'm going to untie this and open it so that I can take some of the bulk out of the way. And I'm going to grab my centering ruler with all the notes stuck to it. And I'm going to center this using the large piece here. Is that right? Nope, over just a little bit. I was off just a little bit. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to stick that down, top and bottom. Okay. And then I'll put a little bit of glue here and here. And then stick this to the top of that belly band. And that will create our pocket. All right. So when you do this, here's what you get. So you get your belly band, full page belly band, and then you get this cute little pocket here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my cardstock underneath the belly band. Got a little bit of the glue on there. And center it so that it's right exactly where we want it. And then I'm going to grab my glue and glue it down. And do the same thing here. Okay, so in the cutting guide, I will give you all of the brown cardstock cuts as well. And then this guy right here, this piece of pattern paper, we're just going to put, if I can get it in there, in here. There we go. So that will go inside that pocket here. And we'll just line that up, glue it down. Alright, and then our other little strip of pattern paper, we're going to glue that down on top of the little pocket, and then that page is done. Except for putting in, you know, the inserts, little tags that you want, photo mats, whatever your heart desires. There we go. All right. So that is page 1, front and back is done. And we will stick that off to the side, and then we will continue on with page 2. So I'll put that off to the side. We're going to grab a base. We're going to grab a pocket, and we grab the papers for the front of page 2. Now this one's kind of a cute idea that I came up with. So it's going to have a couple photo mats on it, but it's also going to have a pocket behind the photo mats, okay? So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to cover our pattern paper on the front of our page. We're going to do the same pocket that we did on the front of page 1. So all of the fronts of all 4 pages will have the pocket. Make sure my little skulls are the right orientation too, which is helpful. Oops, I didn't quite get that centered well. Let's try that again. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. Grab our pocket, and again, glue it on 3 sides. And I don't normally put like all of my pattern papers on during the tutorials, but for this one, it's kind of important that you just kind of do it as you go. All right, so that's glued down. Then we'll have our pattern paper on top, and then the element for this pocket on top of this pocket will go on. Okay, center that. All right, so we got our pattern paper. Perfect. Okay, so then what you're gonna need are a couple of photo mats cut out of black or brown. You could do brown if you wanted to, but I cut mine out in black. And they're gonna be 2 3x4s. Okay, so they will go like right here. And then I got pattern paper that will cover the tops of them. And then you're gonna have a tag. The tag is 3 1/4 by 6 1/2, and then I used my tag punch and I made the tag shape. And the pattern paper I cut you know, smaller by 1/8, and did the tab punch for that. Okay, so that will actually slide behind those. So let's start by putting on our pattern paper on our mats. So the pattern paper is 2 7/8 by 3 7/8, and they're going on the 3x4 mat. And then you could put a picture here if you wanted to. You could also use, if you wanted to, cut aparts to cover these. Just trim them down to fit, of course. All right, so we have our 2 mats here. I just love these colors. Oh my goodness. Just love these colors. Okay, so then let me double check my notes just to make sure I've got this right. All right, so I do. So we're gonna take the bottom mat here, and we're gonna glue it on 3 sides. And that's what creates a pocket for the tag. And then I'm gonna do this. What I want to do is measure it 1/2 inch from the bottom. Make sure it's lined up right. And it'll be about 1/2 inch on either side. I should say it will be 1/2 inch on either side. All right. And then we're going to take our top one. We're going to do it 1/2 inch from here. So again, I'm going to line this up to the top of that tag. And then this one is only going to get glued on the 2 sides. All right. Just like that. Okay. We'll let that dry for a second. So again, the tag, the cardstock is 3 1/4 by 6 1/2, and then the pattern paper, I cut it at 3 1/8 by 6 3/8, and then use my tab punch to make the tab shape. I haven't punched the hole yet and put ribbon on there, but that's part of the decorating process. But then what you're going to do is you're just going to be able to slip it down here and then down here, and then that will create a nice little pocket for your tag, just like that. So that's the front of page 2. Now, the back of page 2, we're going to have a little bit more work to do. This is a gatefold page with some really cool photo mat ideas that I had. So let's get started. You are going to need a few things. On the back of page 2, we're going to have a gatefold page. So let's get these pieces out. So we are going to need, let's see, I'm going to put the brown aside because that's going to be for basically for matting. So we'll put the brown pieces aside for a minute. These are part of the pages. So here's your gatefold pages, and then here's our pattern papers. Okay, so to start off with this, we're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock for the back of page 2 that are going to be 3 3/4 tall by 8. You'll need 2 of those, and these are the gatefold pages that we're going to do. Okay, and both of these you'll put in your scoreboard, and we're going to score at 1/2. Okay, so for both of them, just like that. Then, if you want to use your punch, which I think is kind of cool, go ahead and miter your corners. And again, you have to look at the, measure what your tag punch does, because it might be a different measurement. Mine just happened to work out just right. Okay, so miter, fold and burnish. Okay, and then we're going to add these to our page. Okay, so pretty straightforward at this point. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. You'll also want to make sure that you kind of make sure that you don't get in. I'm going to turn it over so I can see this. This is the binding piece of your page. I don't want to get in the binding piece of my page, so I want it just right up to the score mark here. Okay, and just make sure your page will still turn. All right. Okay, and then when you take your second piece, we're going to glue it down on this side to create the gatefold. Just make sure that it's going to line up nice. It's not going to hang over the edge. And it looks like I actually got this pretty darn perfect, so that's good to know. So again, just put the glue on. All right. And glue that to the edge of your page. And make sure we're not overlapping anything, which we're not. Just right to the edge. Yay! Okay. Did that. I'll open it up. All right. So we're good with that. All right. So then, the next thing, the brown cardstock, and this is again in your cutting guide, you're going to have a piece that will go in here, and you're going to have 2 pieces that are going to go in here. So let's go ahead and just glue those on, because that is pretty straightforward. And then you're going to be able to decorate to your heart's content on the inside, whatever you want to do. All right. So the inside, we'll just go ahead and put in our brown contrasting cardstock. And again, this is from Country Craft Creations. This is artisan cardstock. All right, so I cut it just like I would if it was pattern paper. You can use pattern paper in here if you want. I wanted to kind of conserve my paper and see what I had left. And I'm going to use the bits of leftovers and things for decoration and whatnot, which y'all have already seen because I did the walkthrough video, right? So, there we go. All right, so do that one more. This video is going to take a little bit longer than my usual videos because we're basically doing most of it in the process videos, but it's going to be worth it. Going to be worth it. Okay, so the insides are done. You just have to decorate once you get everything all done here. All right, so inside of our gatefolds are done. Okay, so now let's work on the closures. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to put some seam binding here. This is some more seam binding that I had, and I wanted to use a little bit of the orange that I had in my stash. So let's see, how much do I need? Probably, let's see. Let's cut it at a foot. That's my usual. And then that way I know I have enough. And I can always trim it. But it would be bad if I didn't check it, cut it too short, and then didn't have enough, right? That would be bad. All right, so I'm gonna just place this right in the middle. So I'm gonna just line this up. I'm gonna do my score tape like I do, okay? I'm gonna do it in both places while I'm at it. All right. Oops, a little too much there. There we go. All right. So the ties will tie right in the middle. So I'm going to lay this down so I get this right in the middle. And they need to kind of, stick out towards the center. So we're going to do that. And then you only have to kind of measure that once because you can match the other one to the one you already laid down. Like that. Okay, so we have our tie ready to go. So then what we will do is put our pattern paper down next to top these. All right. Get that out of the way, and then we will lay this down right on top. I still think I need background music. It's so quiet. I don't know about you guys. I am like totally used to having like noise on all the time, whether it be music or the TV, something on all the time. All right, so there's that. And then put the other one on. Okay, so we have, whoops, our pages, and then they will tie shut right here with a pretty little bow, okay? So then what we're gonna do, let's put this aside for just a second. We're gonna have these mats, and these mats are gonna go on these pages, and I came up with kind of a cool idea where we're gonna actually have like 4 different photo opportunities just on the flaps here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna need 4 pieces that are 3 by 8. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna, on the 8-inch side, we're gonna score it right down the middle at 4, okay? So you're gonna end up with a fold that's 3 by 4, and you'll be able to put pictures on the front and the back, okay? So again, these are 3 by 8, and we're gonna score them on the 8 right down the middle at 4 inches, so that when you fold them, you're gonna have a little 3 by 4 booklet, okay? So we'll fold and burnish all of these guys. Then what we're gonna do is we'll take a couple of them and we're going to line them up on our page, like right in the middle. So let me give you an idea. So the first ones are gonna go like here. We're gonna line them up right in the middle. So about a 1/2 inch down from the top and a 1/2 inch up from the bottom. And let me turn, I'm gonna turn this over so I can see it better. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm fiddling, but I think maybe I might have had too much coffee today too. So I'm gonna line this up right at the middle, right at the 1/2 inch. And what this is going to do is it's going to glue like right in the middle, and you're going to end up with like 1 inch and a quarter, excuse me, on either side, okay? And we're just going to glue this first one just a little bit here just to stick it down. Okay, so you don't want to go across the whole page. You just want a little bit of glue like that, okay? Open it up so that you don't glue anything down you're not supposed to. Make sure this is all lined up right in the middle, and we're going to line this up, and on my ruler, the edge of this will line up with the 2-inch mark if I've got the center right down the gatefold page, okay? And I'm going to glue that down, okay? All right, and then you're going to turn this bad boy over. You can run a little bit, if you didn't get like all the way, you can run a little bit of glue there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put glue on this guy here. And we're going to just fold it over and glue it to the inside of that page. This is going to give you photo mats on the inside of your gatefold. Okay? Let's do the bottom one. So again, get our ruler, make sure we got this lined up nice and straight. 1/2 inch from the bottom, little bit of glue on this one thing here, as we only want to glue it on top of the page. And I'm going to lay that down and line that up right there. Okay, then I'm going to open this up. I'm going to put a little bit of glue here to help that stick down, because I didn't go very far because I wanted to make sure that it didn't get on the other gatefold page. All right, and then fold this bad boy over. And voila, super easy. This is easier than trying to fit 2 pieces together because, you know, there's always some, you know, chance that you're going to cut them just a little bit differently. So this works out really cool. So then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing on the other side so that when this closes, you won't see it when it closes, but this will be right underneath. And then when you open up the page, ta-da, you have 2 more. So we're going to do the same thing. So there's a couple ways to do this. And what I did was I lined it up because I wanted to make sure it was right there underneath. And I put a little bit of glue on here, made sure it was nice and lined up so that it wasn't showing, and then use that as my placement. Okay, just like that. And then do the same process by, if you can see it here, putting a little bit of glue under here where I didn't have glue, and then glue this. Okay, so we'll do this again. This, for me, turned out really super cool. I was like really happy with how this turned out. In my prototype, then, what you can do, you know, you can decorate these spaces right in here, which I'm probably going to do with this one. And then you have this whole space here that you can decorate, but you also have these super cool things that you kind of don't expect when you first see it shut. So it's pretty, I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know, maybe it's not, but I kind of liked it. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay this down and I'm going to hold it with my fingers, okay? Make sure it's lined up with the one from the first page that we just did. Put a little glue here, and then make sure this goes underneath because I don't want to glue it to itself right now. And then lay it down so it's perfectly underneath the top mat. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit there. Lay that down and then put a little glue here. So you have to let me know what you think. I think it turned out pretty cool. So that was one of my ideas. So we had the pocketed belly band, which, I mean, I'm thinking these are my ideas. If not, I apologize. But yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. So then when this closes, and then we use our little seam binding here. Tie it shut like that. So we have the bow as another pretty element to the decoration. And we can trim that, and then there you go. So then what I did was I took 2 of the cut aparts, and we're going to add those to the tops. That's still going to, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. So it's still going to give you 6 different 3x4 photo opportunities in the rest of these pieces. So, you know, I like it. Oops, a little bit off there. I'm trying really hard not to get my head in the way so you can see what I'm doing. I'll glue this down. Aren't these images adorable? Oh my goodness. I just love them. Just, ugh, so cute. All right, so the back of page 2 is done. Page 1 has the tag behind the photo mats. And then back of page 2 has the nice gatefold. All right, let's do page 3. Page 3. Here we go. Alrighty, so the front of page 3, again, grab a base, grab a pocket, and we're gonna get our patterned papers, and we will start by putting that piece together just like we have been doing it. Okay, so front of page 3. Again, another pocket, and we're going to have a fun little element on the front of this as well. Glue it down for the pocket on the 3 sides. Don't go over the score. Okay. Okay, glue our paper down. All right, so we have our pocket piece here. Now let's look at our element. Okay, so when I did this element, I was thinking about trying to make sure that it had some other opportunities besides just a flip. So we're going to need a couple things. So let's go through this. You're going to need some seam binding for a closure. You're going to need a piece of brown Artisan cardstock that is 4.5 by 6.5, and then you're going to need patterned paper to cover the flip, and this flip is going to be 4 by 12. Okay, so the 4 by 12, we'll put it in at 12 and score it at 6, so it's right down the middle. Okay, then what we're going to do, after we score it at 12, we're going to put it in, put it in your scoreboard at 12, score it down at 6. So it makes a 4 by 6 booklet. All right. Then grab your pattern paper, and this is just going to go on the top to decorate the top. And we will put that on. like so. Okay, so that's the front of this element, and I left, excuse me, the inside open for photos. Then we're going to turn it over, and we're going to put the ribbon across it, so, or the seam binding, I should say. So I got some seam binding that's about 24 inches long, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it because I want to make sure that I have enough here. And then what we're going to do is grab, where did I do with my score tape? I can use that little piece that I did too much of. So go center, put a little score tape here, a little score tape here, and then the center. Of course, I could use this grid too because it's only 4 inches. You can find the middle there. And then we're going to put a piece up and a piece down. Okay, so line that up there, and then line this up here. It's using my grid. Guess I don't need my ruler for this part. Like that. All right, so what I was thinking when I did this is like I wanted to make it a pocket in the back, and so that's why I got this piece. We're gonna glue this onto here, and then that is going to create a space behind for a pocket for a tag. So I'm gonna take my glue and run, whoop, not down the side of it, that's for sure. Got a little crazy. Got a little crazy. Like that. Then, make sure all my ties are out of the way. And I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to center it. And it'll have about 1/4 inch space on all sides. Just like that. Okay, so that's basically just going to back this element, which will lift up and then have a place for pictures. But then what it's also going to do is it's going to give us a space behind for a pocket that we can put tags in. So I'm just going to tie that shut and trim the ends. There we go. And then we're going to take our page, front of page 1, and then this will go right in the middle of page 1. So we're going to glue it on 3 sides, and I'm gluing mine. So actually, you know, you can glue it on 3 sides, you can glue it on 2 sides if you wanted to, however you want to do it. But I did mine up and down like this, so I'm going to just pull it towards me a little bit so I can make sure. I'm going to eyeball this. Okay, and that will glue down right there. So then you have this nice element on the front that's interactive, but you also have a pocket behind it as well, right here. Okay, so there is the back, or excuse me, the front of page 3. All right, I'm gonna take a quick break. My laundry is screaming at me, and I will be right back. Hi, I'm back, and my laundry is not mad at me anymore, so we're going to get started with the back of page 3. So, we're going to work on this. I'm going to go ahead and untie this just so that I don't have the knot when I'm working on it, and then we're going to grab our pieces. So this is going to be another pocketed belly band page. So we've already done one of those, and we're going to do it again. So here's the cardstock piece that we're going to use to mat the back of that page, and then we're going to have our pocketed belly band. And again, what we're going to do is put it in our scoreboard, pardon me, at 9 at the top, 4 on the side. We're going to score at half and at 8.5, and then we're going to turn it like that, and we're going to score at 1.5. And then we're going to go ahead and do our mitering and our burnishing and all that stuff. Okay, I'm gonna grab this because I just think this is so cool. Super easy way to miter it, and it gets it perfect. 45. But it only works, again, it only works if you have a 1/2-inch tab. If you have a tab that's different, this particular punch will not work. So it has to be a 1/2-inch tab. But I just think it's pretty slick. Okay, so these tabs on the bigger part will fold to the back because that's what's going to attach to the page. All right, and then these tabs will fold in and attach to the belly band. So we could go ahead and just do that right now. Okay, and while we're at it, we could probably just put the pattern paper in there as we're doing it. So let's just go ahead and do that. And I probably shouldn't have done it that way. I'm gonna get glue all over everything. There we go. Yep, shouldn't have done it that way. That was a mess. There we go. Good thing art glitter glue is dries clear, huh? So again, the pocket is going to face towards the outside of the page on this one, so that way if you put, you know, larger things and you want like maybe ribbons or something to stick out of the side of your page, you can, but you can put this any, you know, either direction, doesn't much matter. All right, so then we're going to grab the back of our page, make sure our orientation is good, and I'm gonna glue this down, and then we're gonna put the cardstock underneath it the proper way this time, so I don't get glue all over everything. Okay, so I'm gonna center that. I should use my centering ruler because this is throwing me off. Okay, there we go. That's more better. All right, glue that right to the top and the bottom. Okay, and then we'll slide this guy under here. And this method also works really well to cover the tabs of the belly band so that when you put things in and out of the page, it doesn't catch on them, which is a good thing. Okay. All right, you guys, we're almost there. We have page 4 to go, and then we have the elements on the inside and of the covers, and then we're done with the basic construction of the book. Then it's a matter of just decorating however you would like to decorate. So, okay, back of page 3 is done. So the front of page 3 will have this pocket here, and we'll have the big pocket here, and then we'll have the flip out photo mat here. So we'll go ahead and tie that. And that guy's done. All right, so then the next thing we're going to do is page 4. Let's grab the stuff for page 4. Okay, so our last base and our last pocket, and we're going to have, this is going to be the same page So you've noticed I've done a couple things the same. This is going to be the same as far as the pocket mats with the big tag, what am I trying to say, underneath the pockets. So we have to cover our first piece first, just like we did before. So this will be the inner part of that pocket on the front of page 4. Okay. Then we have our pocket piece that we're just going to glue on. Pretty simple. Not a lot of tabby construction on this part. Right to the score line. All right, there we go. Okay, pattern paper for the top. There we go. All right, and we're going to grab our pieces. So we have the 2 photo mats, and then we have our tag. And on this one, I'm going to use the plain cardstock on it. And then we have our 2 pieces of pattern paper that we're going to cover our photo mats with. So we're going to go ahead and glue these down. And again, this is going to be glued on 3 sides, and it's going to be 1/2 inch from the bottom. So I'm going to center my ruler 1/2 inch and put that down. Okay, and then we'll take this guy and we're going to put that 1/2 inch above that. Again, centered. And we're just going to glue on the sides. Okay, just like that. All right. And the reason why, and I should tell you this now, why I did it this way, I gave a little bit more room up here at the top for pulling the tag out and for having, you know, like ribbons or seam binding or something on the tag at the top. So that's why it's a 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch here, but then there's like 1 inch at the top because I wanted to have enough room to pull that tag out. Okay, so then we've got the piece. I didn't glue this one down. So this is the tag. The first one I used pattern paper. On this one, I'm using contrasting cardstock. And I'm just going to glue the tag. The tag is the same as on page 2. So the black is 3 1/4 by 6 1/2. The brown is 3 1/8 by 6 3/8. Okay, and then I just used my tag punch, put that in there. And then this guy will fit under there like that. And then we have our 2 pieces of cardstock that we're going to put here, and you could use your 3x4 journaling cards if you want to. Just to cover that. Pretty. So the front of page 4 is done. Now the back of page 4 is going to be a fun gatefold page. All right. There we go. Okay, front of page 3 done. Or page 4, excuse me, page 4 is done. So now let's work on the back of page 4. Let me grab my stuff. All right, this is going to be another gatefold page. And it's going to have another photo mat element, but this time we're going to use bigger ones. So the first things we're going to need, again, I'm going to use brown cardstock. artisan cardstock on the inside of the gatefold piece, and then we're going to have a flap piece that goes with it. So here's the gatefold pages. So let's do this. And these gatefold pages, I'm calling this my horizontal gatefold, and these are 4.5 by 6.5. And you're just going to put them in your scoreboard at the 4.5 at the top, 6.5 on the side, and you're just going to score them at a half. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and miter the corners, and then since I'm doing the tag punch, I'm going to just punch them both at the same time. See, that's the other cool thing about it. It's like one and done instead of having to do both of them, you know, in their own time. So it's a little time saver too. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of a cool little trick, that's for sure. All right, so gonna go ahead and do this, and then we're gonna do these gatefolds. They're up and down, so one at the top and one at the bottom. Now, the thing you need to make sure of is that they don't go into the score. You may have to trim a sliver off, which it looks like I will have to do. So let's trim just a wee bit off the sides, just to make sure. I don't want them in the score, and you don't have to cut off that much. And of course, you know, I should have put a new blade in my trimmer. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. Much better. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to take just a wee bit off. There we go. All right. So that will, yeah, that will line up better because you just don't want it in the score, okay? So if you need to, just do a little hair of a trim, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and put glue on. And I'm going to line this up to the outside, and it's going to glue top and bottom. Okay. Over just a little bit more. There we go. Sometimes, and I apologize, I know that the black is sometimes hard to see on camera. Sometimes it's hard to see in person. But it is Halloween, so, you know. All right, so we've got these on top and bottom. So let's go ahead and mat the insides. So again, you could use pattern paper if you want to. I just chose not to. I wanted to use the contrasting cardstock on the insides of these elements and on the backs of the pages. And you have to kind of do all of this before you put on the next element. I need to trim this a little bit because I can see an edge. There we go. Okay. But if you wanted to use pattern paper, yes, please use pattern paper. I just was trying to conserve, because like I said, the design team, I wanted to get 3 projects out of the design team package. If you had one package of this paper, the Authentic Masquerade, you totally could make this book with all of it if you had one pack of paper, okay? And then I think I used 14 pieces of black cardstock, and I used 5 pieces of brown cardstock, and then 7 pieces of pattern paper as I did this album. So, there you have it. So if you substituted pattern paper for all this brown cardstock, you would probably need like around 12. So one package should do it. All right. There we go. So the inside is matted. All right. Then we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to do it with 4x6 papers as far as making the gatefold photo mats. So you're going to need 2 pieces that are 4x12, and again on the 12-inch side we're going to score right down the middle at 6. So you're going to end up with a 4x6 booklet, okay? And then we're going to, whoop, after I throw this on the floor, you're definitely going to need to cover that and put our closure on. So let me grab my seam binding here, and I need 2 pieces that are about 12 inches. That's pretty much my standard for doing closures like this. All right, so we've got our pieces together. We've got our 2 booklets that are, they were 4x12, but now they're folded into 4x6, okay? And then we have our pattern paper, we have our gatefolds on, and then we have our 2 pieces of seam binding. So let's put our seam binding on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a couple of things a little bit different than what we're used to doing, but that's okay, because this album is a little bit different than I have done before. I've got some different kind of ideas in here, and again, I did that a little bit too much there. That's okay. Take this off. You're going to put the score tape for your seam binding down at the bottom, and again I centered it, and then we're going to put it down so that it comes out the bottom, just like that, right in the middle. All right, and then take your pattern paper and we're going to go over that. Okay, we'll just go right over that, like so. Okay, so you have the one tie coming out from the bottom of this page underneath the pattern paper. Okay, now let's put the pattern paper on the top here. Okay, so we're just going to add that. I love those images. I used those on my countdown calendar that I did. I used the more Masquerade party kind of papers, and this one I did the more kind of kid Halloween-y papers. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so then we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to center this right in the middle, okay? We're going to open this up, if I can get it open. Okay, so when you center this, so we're going to, let me look at this here. I want to make sure I get it right for you. So we're going to have, if that's in the middle, we're going to have about 1 inch top and bottom, and we're going to have 1.25 inches side to side. Okay, so 1 inch top and bottom, and 1.25 inches side on the sides. Okay, so we'll go ahead and open this guy up, and I'm going to stick my ruler down because I want to make sure I line this up just right. So I'm going to line it up so that it's 1 inch from the top. Put a little bit of glue right on the inside, just like we did before, with just a small piece of it, because we just want to get it stuck down here. And we're going to line that up right like that and lay it down. Okay. Okay, then we're going to open it up. I'm going to put a little bit of glue where I didn't get glue. And then I'm going to put glue on this piece and close it up. And voila, you have 2 photo mats for your gatefold. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to line this up because we want this one to be completely kind of hidden underneath this guy. So what we're going to do is make sure, and I can already tell that that's a little, I didn't fold that quite right. Let's redo that real quick. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is this is going to line up like that. So I'm going to take this part here and I'm going to hold it. I'm going to line it up underneath the bottom. I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. And then I'm going to fold it down, making sure it stays lined up, and push it down. Okay, just like that. So then when you close it, you're not going to be able to see it underneath that mat. I'm going to turn it so I can see it better this way. Put, oh, I did pretty good on the glue there. And then, there we go. Do this. All right, we're going to put that down. And there you go. So this is the back of page 4. And the last thing we need to do is add more tape for our seam bindings. And you know what I did do? I forgot to get my pattern paper cut for the top of this. So I will have to do that here in just a second. Unless I left it in there and I didn't. So somewhere along the line, I didn't cut that. So I will have to do that. All right. So then this is going to go down towards the bottom. Okay, so let's make sure I got it right. Yeah. All right, just like that. And then these guys will tie at the bottom, which is kind of an unusual place to tie, but I wanted to keep the integrity of the picture as well. So then we can trim this. There we go. And then you have this cute little tie. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. You'll see that in the video when it's all done. So this will be covered with pattern paper of some sort. I will figure it out. Okay, back of page 4 is done. Okay, let's go ahead and put these in the book because I think it'll be easier to do before we put the elements on. So these are set for a 1/2 inch gusset, and I'm going to start that 1/2 inch right at the edge of that chipboard. Okay, so I'm going to line up my ruler, find that let me do this, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. I'm going to grab my pencil, and I'm just going to put a light line for placement at that 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to take page number 1 and put my glue on this. Okay. And then I'm going to eyeball the centering of it and lay it on that pencil line. And it's about, there we go, about 1/4 inch from the bottom and from the top. Okay, and then I'm just gonna make sure that's burnished down really well. All right, just like that. Okay, so there's first page. So second page, same thing. I'm just gonna fold that. I'm going to put the glue on, and again, don't miter these tabs on the pages because otherwise then you're going to see those miters. And then I'm just going to line this up to the cut edge of the previous page. Okay, lay that down, and then glue that down. Okay, third page. Again. Push that to the cut edge. Line it down. There we go. A lot of times I just push it with my fingers. I don't get my bone folder out. I should probably do that, but very hands-on that way. All right, so this one, I am going to fold the tab the other direction, and I'm going to lay it right on top of the tab that we just laid down. That way, when you fold the book over, you have a nice flat spine piece here, just like you have here, and you won't see the tab. If you keep going the way that we were going and you lay this down, you're going to see that tab down there, and I don't want to. I don't want to see that. So I'm just going to glue that right on top of the previous one. Okay, so page 4, and then I'm just going to take that tab and I'm going to put it right to the score line. Don't put it over the score line, because if you do, then the pages won't turn. All right, and then just line them up and glue it right on top of the previous tab, and you won't have a tab edge here. You'll have a nice flat spine there. Okay, so there's our pages. Aren't they cute? When we get all of the decorations and the tags and things in, it's going to be great. Okay, let's work on the front cover. This is going to be a fun little thing. It's a double kind of accordion with a pocket. I'm going to put this to the side for just a second. You're going to need a few things here for this. So we will need, of course, the pattern paper to go on the back. So that's going to go on the cover. And then we're going to need a piece of seam binding for the closure. We will need a piece of contrasting cardstock that will go behind the element to create another pocket at 4.5 by 6.5. All right, and then we have a couple tags that I've created out of the scraps. So you're going to need one. This cardstock here is 3 by 6, and the pattern paper is 2 7/8 by 5 7/8. So we have that tag, and I've already made it. And then we have this photo mat. The cardstock is 4 by 6. The pattern paper is 3 7/8 by 5 7/8. Okay, so we're going to use those for the pockets we're going to create. And then for the actual element itself, we're going to do this a double accordion with an extra pocket. Okay, so you will need 2 pieces of cardstock that are 6 by 12. We're going to take these, and let me get rid of this guy and grab my scoreboard. And we're going to take and put it in 12-inch side up, and you're going to score both of them at 4 and at 8. Okay, so do that for both of them. And then let me just double check, because I want to make sure I don't steer you wrong on this. Okay, so then let's take this away for just a second. We'll get rid of this, and then we're going to fold our cardstock. Okay, so you're going to just make an accordion out of them. Get that out of the way. All right, so there's 1 and 2. All right, so you will have 4 by 6 mats basically here for your photos. Okay. Oop, it looks a little crooked to me. Fix it. That's the good thing. You can nudge it a little bit too, and then you'll make it just perfect. Okay? All right, so then what we're going to do is one of them is going to open this way. The other one is going to open this way. Okay, so when I say that they're going to accordion, they'll be like this, and when they open, they'll go like this. But so get another piece of pattern paper, and we are going to cut this at 3 7/8 by 5 7/8. Okay, and then let's ink it really super quick because I'm going to punch it. Okay. All right. So let's take one of these. It doesn't really matter which one you layer over the other. It doesn't really matter. So what we'll do is I'm gonna grab my circle punch here. And so I'm using a fairly big circle punch. I think this one's 3 inches. I think it's 3 inches. Nope, 2 7/8, or 2 3/4. Excuse me. But anyways, you need a big circle punch. So what we're gonna do, let's glue this pattern paper down here. Onto this inside piece. Okay, so now we kind of got this thing looking like a spider leg to keep our orientation straight. Okay, so you glue the pattern paper down on this one underneath. All right, and then what we're gonna do is take our circle punch. I'm gonna make some pencil marks. So on the back here, I'm gonna go like, here's my center. And then I said it was about 2 and so I'm gonna make some tick marks just so I can kind of see where my centers are. Doesn't really matter where you make them as long as you can, so you can kind of see where you're at. And you can go as deep as you want. And I went fairly deep just because I wanted the tag to show. So that looks pretty good. Oh, wow. There we go. Whew, that was hard. Okay, so we have this. Let's go ahead and ink that edge. Okay, so then what we're gonna do is we're going to glue that right on top of here. Okay, so we're just going to glue it on the three sides, and that's going to create a pocket. I'm just going to lay this down right to the score, not in the score. All right, and lay that down. So what that's going to do is give us a pocket for this tag here that we created, if I can get it in the pocket. There we go. Okay, so that's where that's going to go. All right, so once you get that done, then let's fold it up like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab our base. And again, our base, we'll just stick this right on top of that, but we're going to need to do a closure first. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this whole thing over, and right in the middle, and we'll go ahead and put a line of score tape here. I'm not going to cut it this time just because it's kind of a short distance. I'm just going to find the center of this piece and then just lay it across. Okay, and then I'm going to put glue around the edge. Grab the cardstock base that I had cut out, and it's going to have about 1/4 inch on all the sides, like so. Okay, and then it will open up like that. So then you'll have all these photo opportunities on the fronts and the backs. And then you'll have this pocket in the middle. You're going to have this closure here. And then what we're going to do, oh, actually, let's put my tag in there so I don't forget. That goes in there. So we will, you can put, you know, your ribbon and stuff on there too. So we'll close that up. We're going to tie this up. So just a nice simple closure. This does go through like a ton of ribbon and seam binding and stuff. So just be aware, because we're not using magnets, that's part of the deal. So let's get our pattern paper that goes on the inside cover. Gonna go glue that down. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then this guy is going to go right in the middle of that, but we're going to glue it on two sides. So I'm going to want the pocket to come in from the top, so I'm just going to glue it on the bottom and on this side. And then probably get my hair in the way because I need to center this. I'm going to eyeball it here. Like that. All right, whoop. Get down there. There we go. Okay, where's my thing? All right, and then this tag here, this photo mat tag will go in behind. So that'll be a nice little element as well. Okay, so there's that double accordion, and then we are done with that part. Now let's go to the back inside cover, and that one, oh, just dumped everything on the floor. That one's gonna be our double waterfall. So, and then we're gonna be done. Okay, so we have seam binding for closure. We have our back for the inside, so we can go ahead and put that down. Let's go ahead and do that. I cut my pattern paper to cover the inside cover at 8 1/4 by 6 3/4. Okay, so we can cover our back. Like so. Okay. Almost done. This is the last piece. So then it's just the decorating part of however you want to do it. I'm going to, you know, add strips to the in-between spaces of the pages, and I've got ideas for how I'm going to do all that. So, okay, so here we go. Here is our double waterfall where it's going to go. So you're going to need a couple pieces for this, and I have done this before in previous tutorials, and it worked out really, really good. You can also use this as a standalone little small mini album too, especially with artisan cardstock because it is so thick. So you're going to need 2 pieces that are 9 1/2 by 6 and 2 pieces that are 8 1/2 by 6. Okay, so 9 1/2 by 6 and 8 1/2 by 6. And then, so you're going to put them in your scoreboard, and all of them are going to be the same. So it doesn't matter whether the 8 1/2's at the top or the 9 1/2's at the top. All you're going to do is put them in the scoreboard with the longer edge at the top, and you're going to score at 4, and then you're going to turn around and score at 4. And that's going to give you the perfect gusset in the middle that you need for this. Okay, so again, this one happens to be the 8 1/2, but you're going to put it in, score it at 4, and then you're going to turn it around, and you're going to score it at 4. The 9 1/2, same thing. You're going to put it in at 9 1/2 at the top, score it at 4, turn it, score it at 4. That's going to give you a wider gusset here, but that's what we're going to adhere these to. So again, the 9 1/2 at the top, score it at 4, turn it around, score it at 4. Okay, so then once you get those done, we'll go ahead and fold and burnish. Fold and burnish all 4 pieces. And that's what makes it easy about doing this little project too, is that you know, score at the same number. You just have to turn the paper. So you don't have to do a whole lot of measurement on there. Okay. Okay, so take one of your shorter pieces and one of your longer pieces, and what you're going to do is you're just going to center that and glue it down right in the middle. Okay, and I found it easy to do it like this. So if you take your piece, your 9.5-inch piece, and you put it in your scoreboard, you can see down here our measurements. Okay, so this is 1.5 inches. This is 1/2 inch. What we're going to do is take this and we're going to, it's going to be a 1/2 inch gusset, so we're just going to put this down in here. This score line here matches 4. This one here, if we fold it here to get that 1/2 inch, it's going to go at between 4.5 and 5, and then that'll leave another 1/2 inch. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just going to take the glue here, put it on there. You can open it if you want, you can fold it if you want, it doesn't really matter, but just make sure that you get it right in the middle and you match that, and you know, push it to the side, and then that will center it for you. Okay, okay, so when you get done with that, what you're going to have is a piece that looks like this, and it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. Okay, and it's going to have this 1.5 inch spine on the back. Okay, so we're going to do that again. Take the bigger piece, put it in here. Take your smaller piece, put the glue on the 1/2 inch spine here. It's an easy way to make a waterfall, that's for sure. And then we're going to line that up so it's like between 4.5 and 5. Get that down, nice and lined up. Okay, so now you have those 2 pieces. Done. So let's get rid of this for just a second. We're going to take our seam binding here, and I'm going to cut it in half. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn these over, and right in the middle here, we're going to put a piece of tape. So this piece here. So one will come out like that. Okay, so that will be the bottom piece where all the pages go up the top. And then this one is going to come off the top. So again, we're going to just do the same thing. Where's my other piece of, there it is. Okay, and then put that there. So you got the 2 pieces like that. All right, and now it's time to grab our book. So we are going to do this. Let me double check. Double check on my prototype. Yep. Okay, so 1/2 inch up from the bottom and a 1/2 inch from the top. We're going to glue these down. Okay, so the bottom one is going to have the tail down at the bottom, and it's going to have the page flips up at the top. We're going to glue it down just like this, a 1/2 inch from the bottom. So let's put some glue on here. Okay. And going to center this like that, so 1/2 inch up. There we go. Okay. There we go. Nice and centered. Okay. Make sure it just gets glued down. Okay. So just like that. Then we're going to turn it around. And this one you're not going to have to measure so much because you're going to match it to this one. So this is the top of the album. Let's turn it around again. So this is the top of the album. This is the bottom. We just put this one on and it's going to open this way. This one's going to open the opposite way. Okay, so we're going to just glue it down like that. So let's turn it around just because I can see it better that way. And I'm going to put my glue on here again. And then what I'm going to do is I just need a 1/2 inch, so I don't have to center it. I just need to know where the 1/2 inch mark is. And then I need to match it to the top pages because I want it to line up with those top pages, or with those bottom pages, I should say, because I want these sides to be even. Okay, there's that. There will be little paper strips in between those pages as well, but I'm going to decorate the fronts, but I'm not going to decorate the inside pages just because I want to have room for pictures. So then when you fold this guy up, it's going to go bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. Tons of room for pictures. And then this guy here, we'll close it, and there you go. So there you have it. All you have to do is trim these ends and you have yourself your album done. I'm going to trim those later. So let's kind of do a little walkthrough here real quick. So we've got our album cover. I need to decorate it still. Got our closure here. Don't necessarily need it because you see how even now it's staying pretty flat. It has lots of room to put pictures. So this is kind of an optional thing, but I really like it. And so then you open it up and then you have our double accordion that goes out like this. There is a pocket in the inside, and then there's also a place for a tag on the outside. And then on this side we have an accordion fold, a small one, because I wanted to leave space for a pretty something here, and it will fold up and it will fold down. Each page has a pocket, and there will be tags in the cutting guide, and you'll see that in the finished video as well. Then on here we have our double, or excuse me, not a double, it's a pocketed belly band. So you have the belly band here, and then you have a pocket here. We have 2 pages that I did this tag pocket with behind photo mats, and then again another pocket here. We have this really cute page, which is a gatefold page, and when you open it up, surprise, you have more gatefold pieces here to add pictures to. Here we have a flip up that goes like that, but we also, and I will have a tag under here as well, another pocket. Then we have our other pocketed belly band right here. We have the other tag pocket, just like the other one, pocket. On this page here, we have another fold. I need to put some pattern paper on here. So we have a gatefold with 2 nice places for pictures. And then we have on the back cover, we have our double waterfall that has tons of room for pictures. All right, so that is my tutorial. I hope you liked it. I hope you like these new ideas that I kind of came up with. I hope that you make it, and if you do, please let me know. I would love to see pictures of it. If you have any questions, please let me know. But again, I will have all the information down below with the cutting guides and everything else. And I just wish y'all safety and happiness, and take care of yourselves, take care of your family, your friends. Be safe, and I will see you next time with another tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Go to Country Craft Creations for all of your crafty needs, and I will see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.